Joyful Christian Hermit. I've been thinking I was resting a little bit and doing okay, but the one thing I wanted to talk about was I was just struck by it yesterday, and some of you may have the same realization at some point, those of you who suffer any kind of suffering. But it struck me yesterday like never before that my children, my grandchildren, anyone around here, they don't know me as I was. And it's been 41 years of suffering, and my life has become pain. I have adapted to pain. Love of suffering and suffer to love. My whole existence has become pain, and my perspective is altered as a result. I'm not the person I was when I was 33 years old, or 33 and a half. I was 33 and a half, or less than, not even 33 and a half, barely over 33, when I was hit in the car with my husband at the time. And my decisions, my interests, my purchases, my rare book library. This is after my mom died, and my sisters and I had a split inheritance, modest, but I've gone through a lot of that. A lot of it's just the investment in the house, the down payment, everything, huge mortgage I have. But the rest, I've spent on charity. I sent a lot over to Nigeria, but I've also spent on my gardens here. Like, this is my grandson's prayer tree. It's Dragon Master, Japanese maple, palmatum, low to the ground, or it could be staked up, but I'm going to do something special with it here. It's very hot here. I'm going to stake it up here. And this was bent somehow. It got bent just by automatically growing that way. And I'm going to tie it up like that. So it has it just bends there like that. A pathway in this tree's life got injured. And it has developed a new offshoot of it. Not an offshoot even, just a bend. So this is a branch coming up. If it hadn't stayed stiff like that, this could be standing upright, this Dragon Master. But my grandson had noticed this, unknown to me, and he remembered it when we were in the backyard. That, oh, this yellow one in front, I would like that as a prayer plant. So, a little prayer for my porter right here. This is his. For me to pray when I see it, or work with it. It'll be a prayer for my grandson, for his life. But I don't know. It's probably be hard for others to grasp just what registered with me yesterday when this struck me. That my son was just 16 months old then. The one daughter was 6. The other daughter was just barely 8. So, it was the one daughter there. Well, let's see, it's 1984. Yeah, the one daughter was 6, the other one was 8, had just turned 8, because they're fairly close together. And they don't remember me. And it's sort of, everything now that I do or think bodily or doing, it has to relate with suffering. Like sitting. I used to sit more, but I don't now. I just can't do it. I can't do it. And if this arm thing doesn't clear up, and I don't know what God has in mind with this arm like it is, and the night, because I know some people are able to go without much sleep, and maybe that will develop in me, that ability to go without sleep or much, because it's just a dread for me to go to sleep. I realize I fight it at night. I try to distract to stay awake because I don't want to wake up with that horrific pain. It's the worst kind of pain I've had, of nerve pain. So I'm trying to adapt, but yesterday that hit me. My neighbor won't know me. In the next, in eternity, I was thinking, once I progress, hopefully, and get to heaven, then I think how much fun it will be for like my kids to get to know who I really am or was. I'm not that anymore. I know I'm not. I can tell. And I've altered because of the suffering. So it was just something that struck me. I'd never thought of it. And it hit hard. It hit really hard. And I realized just how different I have become as a human being. I have become pain. Like these gardens, I wouldn't spend them practically like this, or I was more practical. I mean, it's hard for me to remember how I was. Definitely more intellectual, but God told me, just to think with my heart. He didn't want that of me at all. Which brings me to another topic. I was reading a blog, a Hermit's blog, and there's another hermit from another country that I'm familiar with, and I realized what they write about. We're all consumed with ourselves. I was thinking my videos are wrapped up in more self, it seems like. The suffering, that my identity, pain. So I was talking about that in the previous video, of this suffering. It's hard to get it off the mind. It is so pervasive. The pain is. It's rules. It's strong. It's a strong power, is this suffering. And I can relate it with Christ and use it in prayer, but still it seems to me very self-consuming. Pain is. But what these other people, these other hermits write about is just the same too. They're writing about themselves, but they write in a very intellectualized way. It's, from my perspective of pain, it seems just as selfish as my writing about pain, about my suffering. They're working out their identities, which they have identified as sort of intellectual hermits or esoteric hermits, right? In esoteric terms, intellectualized terms of what it's like to be a hermit, and are we lonely, or we're not lonely, or we should be learning, or it's okay to be lonely, or whatever. Or one was talking about how happy, people consider her a very happy person. Of course, that's not my perspective. I only know of her as nasty and either envious or bothered by me. I don't know what the motive is, but ugly, just ugly attacks against me. That's the only reference I have. And in her photos, she doesn't look very happy. She looks grumpy, or, just haughty, maybe. Maybe haughty is the interpretation I get. Just because of how she has treated me, though. See, I don't know how she acts around other people. And I only know through her very intellectualized writing. And the other one seems very sweet, but that I know of. But she is, I think, more genuine as a hermit, playing the hermit role. More of a book hermit, of a historic hermit, sort of the role of one, and therefore a little more esoteric, but very loving. I could see her more being content maybe. Serious and somber, her photos are, but I wouldn't say joyous or real. You know, I think like I'm in this role of suffering because that's what I've become. I've become my pain. It's real. The pain is real, but I've become that. And even, you know, determining what I would do if it involves sitting, you know, oh no, you know, I can't do that. Everything is relegated around suffering and pain. And I realized it's hot, and I hadn't turned the air conditioning on. The body tissues swell and press on all my messed up nerves, and I get sick in the summer. That's why I'm now remembering that my neighbor and the physical therapist reminding me that I was sick last summer. I was in bed. It's the heat, even with air conditioning. The barometric pressure shift does it to me. So I may not get much done this summer. The rest of the stonework may not get done. I don't know. I have to see. You know, it's supposed to get a little cooler next week, but we're in for it for several days now. But I don't know what's going to happen with the arm. All this is reflected. And in my videos, see, I talk about pain and suffering. It rules. But with the other people, the one is ruled by her intellect. The other one, maybe by some thought of what a hermit ought to be like. She seems a very, more the stereotypical type of hermit you would think of times past. But very sweet, very genuine in that. But I think we all take roles, or they develop in us based on circumstances. And we're all selfish. We're all self-centered. They're writing about what it is to be a hermit incessantly. You know, well, does it really matter? Does it matter to other people? And they showed it in the one that was talking about happiness and all, showed a photo of a hermit who I know of firsthand. And about loneliness. They were talking about loneliness and being happy. And she's not lonely because she's never alone. Never alone. Maybe 2 weeks during COVID. But people are there constantly with her. Live there. Stay there. Come daily. Do all her work and all that. So it's, that's not, she's never alone. So of course she wouldn't be lonely. But she's not had an opportunity. She never was a hermit alone. She started out with her best friend being a hermit with her, and her dad and his priest friend. So there were 4 of them together. So you don't know what loneliness is if you're not alone. Now these other 2 women, hermits, they have been alone, at least spending the night alone. But the one is very, very social and works in her parish and, you know, is out with her girlfriends, they're religious people, that's fine. But you don't really know loneliness then. So to even talk about it and to, theorize about hermits and loneliness is not from anything practical experience. The other person, the one who's more of what you would think of as a hermit, that you would read about in books from the last couple of centuries even, she would probably have the most solitude, plus embody what we would imagine in our minds as a hermit, of our ideal of a hermit. So, but I don't know, I think it's circumstances, and I think she suffers, that other one suffers. I think probably of all of us, I have the most overt pain, because of the arachnoiditis. It's just severe pain. But they suffer in other ways. So they're disabled, they're on disability, so they have something wrong with them. Except the one that has always been with people doesn't have disability. But, so it's just been interesting though, when I realized that 4 of us who are online writing or speaking of the hermit life, or me, I think I'm just chronicling my spiritual journey. It could be as anything. It's not per se as a hermit, although I am a hermit and live very much alone. And this is the first time I've even had one neighbor who's been very kind. God gave her as a gift for when I'm very, very ill. She has helped me. I so needed the help. And I realized, she wanted to help do work because she has on more of a normal person's time frame of getting things done. Like she was going to paint this side of the house, and the caulking hurt her hand terribly. Well, you have to be used to a caulk gun. And she's got arthritis in her hand, and I have in mine too, but since my pain, I just got through. So she did a little caulking. She did that caulking, and she caulked partway around the window. She didn't want a ladder, so I'll get up there and finish that up there. It's not too bad, but so all of this, all these seams need to be recaulked. So, but she gave up on that. It was too hard. And she's not used to manual labor like that. And that's okay. I never wanted her to do the work, actually. In fact, I tried to discourage her, but she thought she could get this painted like in a day and stuff. And it just takes longer. Plus, then with the heat, she isn't able to be out much in the heat. And I can't just stay in bed. It's too much pain. Just too much pain laying there. So I have to come out and walk around, and I've been, look at this, it's got the red buds on it now. This is Perry's Gold. It's an Abies, Norway spruce. Abies picea, Perry's Golden. But yeah, so, I could talk more about hermit life, but sort of what's the point, I think. I think better for me that I just share my spiritual journey and my life. Suffering, because so many people are going to suffer, and so many people do. They can probably relate with what I say. And maybe I will be a reminder of just how dependent on God I am. Desperate sometimes to calling out to God and in very sincere way, and in the solitude, and just trying to get by, trying to make it, trying to get through this life, and to stay focused on Jesus, and recognizing how my life is altered, how I don't find it commendable that I spend on plants and trees. I hope and pray my parents, it's their money that they worked hard for. I hope that they're okay with it. I don't know if they are. They're both in heaven. I think they understand and know what I'm going through, and probably want me to have this enjoyment plus the exercise of it, and the healing qualities and the beauty to look out at. Even in the winter, I have all these conifers, and then the other trees like this, I'll have the different colored barks to look at. And at least I haven't read anything yet that you lose your eyesight with arachnoiditis, but who knows, I haven't found that abstract now about the brain and arachnoiditis and pain. I can't find it now to read through the whole thing. But see this Chief Joseph lodgepole pine, but I call it St. Joseph. It's turning back to green. It turns back to green in the summer, and then it turns bright gold. You see the remnants of the bright gold needles in there, but it's all turning back to green for the summer. And then in the fall, when it gets cold again, it'll get bright chartreuse green, even just a bright gold. Not chartreuse green, but a bright gold, chartreuse yellow practically. So, but I think we all seem very into ourselves. The people who write about being a hermit and all these theoretical aspects of it, intellectualizing this and that, of loneliness or happiness, or what it is to be an ontological beingness of a hermit and whatever else. It's still comes back to being just selfish, just about ourselves. And how many people need or want to know the theoretical aspects or the idealized aspects, the intellectualized aspects of hermit life? And the one who's not really ever been a hermit, not in, it's been more just a religious sister, an extension of being a religious sister. And it just has more people than even a family would be, runs a retreat center. So there's people there all the time, and then the community comes, people in the neighborhood, the community come to help, to do her laundry and to bring her food and to cook and clean. Of course, now she's elderly, so that's very kind of them to do that, but it's people. So that's a basic aspect of hermit life, is the solitude. So I don't think she's ever really experienced that other than a couple of weeks during COVID. I read back through all her newsletters and things. So, and that's okay. It's okay, but I don't think it's a good example to use as a hermit. And I don't think it would ever be right to say anything to her. Otherwise, why? You know, if I don't care who says they're a hermit if they're not. It doesn't matter to me. She's a lovely, lovely person. She's a beautiful soul and a wonderful retreat person. You know, people talk with her and counsel with her. God has her doing his work. But it's not hermit. It's not a hermit example, except she goes by that. So, and I could probably seem not an example of a hermit. I'm not in, I mean, look at the beautiful surroundings I have here. You think of hermits as being, you know, outwardly impoverished, living in dryness and the desert or a cave. And I have a nice firm mattress. My preference would be the floor, but I can't get up and down with my bad knee now to sleep on the floor. And the only reason I like the floor, it isn't to be an austere hermit or to say, oh wow, look, you know, I'm a hermit who sleeps on the wood floor, on the subfloor. No, it's because it felt good on my back. In fact, maybe my back would be better and my arm would be better if I could be on the floor. So, you know, I'm not trying to pull any subterfuge. I know my faults and my flaws. And, no, this other person doesn't need to say, because oftentimes she has the wrong ones anyway. I know more my inner than anyone else. We all do. We all know our inner. And so this Goldilocks is doing okay here, but I should probably give it a little more water. It's looking a little dry. I'm a little worried about it back there. If it's, well, I guess it's just dried out from the heat because there's water next to it. But it's dwarfed by this rose here, but in the winter it won't be. And eventually it'll get taller, so it's okay there. It'll do fine. Things are coming along back here, and this English Japanese maple is looking, it's perking up. It looked like it was not doing as well earlier, but it's had a nice growth spurt. So this little ponderosa pine down there is looking good too. Yeah, this gives me something to, I guess, focus on besides pain, gardening. I think that's important in my situation as a hermit, is to stay close with God through his creation, through the dogs. But all of it is cost. And so, I'm embarrassed by the expenditures on these things. They weren't super expensive, but all told, over 6 years' time, they've added up. But they haven't exceeded what my neighbor paid a undocumented workers to put gravel in their yard, and two maples that the people bought, that the workers did. One maple, and then they bought the other one, had them put it in. But to clear it out and to put down tarp that doesn't keep the weeds out. It might for a year, but she's been weeding, and it's so hot. She's exhausted from that because of the heat. Yeah, to get the weeds out coming up through that landscape plastic, through the stones. So but I like what they did with their yard, frankly. And see, I couldn't have put stone out. It's too heavy for me. I can't rake well. That hurts my back. Vacuuming and raking, that kind of motion and sweeping with a broom, hurts my back a lot. It's funny what different things hurt. My whole life is geared to what hurts less. And then I make decisions accordingly. And some things I do, if they take my mind away enough, like planting a tree, I do the digging and get the plants in, because my mind is so off the pain. But when I'm raking, that's not enough to take my mind off the pain. So then I feel that motion a whole lot in my lumbar. It gets unbearable. So see, we all have our ways, but it would maybe be too much if we had same yards, but the money they spent for what they did by hiring it done, I have all my stuff paid for, all these things, for the same or a little less than what they spent hiring people. But it was nice of them to hire because those people needed money. They can't just go out and get regular jobs, because they're not here, they're not documented. I don't think they could get hired without some trouble. So they helped humanity by doing that, by hiring it done. But it cost them. And I just put the labor costs, doing it myself, into plant material. So just choices. But as a hermit, you know, I could really criticize myself in many, many ways. And even just having this place, but I liked the view. I didn't know then I was going to have surgery, but I knew I wasn't feeling well, and I knew already that I have pain sieges, spend a great deal of time in bed. So they only had one little window, so I had windows put in. And I did have to pay that first guy to do them because I was awaiting surgery to have those put in. Otherwise, I would have done my own framing because I love to frame things. But he was good. He knew how to use a level. That's crucial. Believe me, on the island, I had a guy who didn't. That's how I learned how to do my own window framing. But I always had to have someone lift in the windows. I couldn't lift like that. But so it all works out. But this gave me projects to do, and I still have them. I got to paint. I don't know if I'm going to get up there. I'd have to have help getting the ladder set up to do that. But my grandson's interested in helping, but he's going to have to come feeling okay. If he comes and he's sick, I'm going to have to just say, well, come back. I'm not going to spend time because then that costs. The longer he's here not feeling well, I still feel obligated to pay him, which is okay. That's what he wants money. He's starting college and he needs some spending money for the summer, I'm sure. What are grandparents for, right? But I'm pretty tough. I'll be tough on him. So he's got to put in the time and the work to get paid. Mean gaga that I am. She's something like that. These other people don't have children or grandchildren, so that puts, my hermit life in a different perspective. And when I became a hermit, my spiritual father said, you have to make sure your children know that they will always be a part of your life, And you will break from your hermit solitude and from your hermit austerity, of which all these trees and plants aren't austere, but I live austerely in all the other ways. My eating, my dress, I cut my own hair, that kind of stuff. So, and this place I got just because it had a nice view and it needed work on it. So I knew that would force me to start working again, to have projects, to take my mind off the pain, and to hopefully keep my body built up strong, to help the arachnoiditis not to take over, or whatever it was. I didn't know even when I bought it that I had the arachnoiditis. I found out 2.5 months later. But I knew I was disabled, had been then for 38 years or something. I don't know. No, 35 years it was when I got this place. I was 35 years into suffering. So, it's all the blogs and my video, and there's another person with a video. I don't know if she's still doing it, but she keeps running on hard times and then has to ask for money from people, GoFundMes and things, and she had water leaks, and I couldn't believe she didn't have insurance. If you buy a property, you really need to get insurance. See, those are the kinds of things I know how to do, because I was out in the world before. So, 41 years, how long have I been a hermit? 26 years this fall. I'd already been a single parent for the past 41 years this fall. So, I know how to buy and sell houses. I know that you have to have insurances, and you have to plan on, you have to have enough money to handle catastrophes. And I'm at the point now where I don't dare do much more, because I have to, and the dogs take money, so I can't take on more monthly expenses. I have to maintain what's left of my inheritance for emergencies. And I mean true emergencies. Not, I see a tree that's gorgeous. That's not. and I'm disciplined, but I did fall in love with trees here yet again. This is my third or fourth garden that I've had in life. And as a hermit in the 26 years. So, anyway, I just was thinking about that. For one thing, that we're not necessarily who we are. In my case, no, I'm pain. That's my identity. And as a hermit, but it doesn't matter to me to have that kind of identity as a hermit. I'm more identified as pain, suffering. I am united with Christ in suffering. And the vocation is sort of beside the point. It's just an ancillary type of, it's very meaningful. Of course, I'm called to the hermit vocation. There's no problem with me with the hermit vocation. I'm not going outside of it. I'm not working in some public capacity, and I'm not socializing or well, I guess my neighbor coming over to help me when I'm sick. And I think it was right of me to let her go ahead and try to do her painting, or she wanted to get things done fast here, and maybe to get the HOA man off my case. I don't know, but she realized that the manual labor isn't her thing. And I was all upset about it, as maybe you recall, and God took care of it. See, I'm still learning. Back off and let God handle the problems for me. I was getting stirred up because I knew that was uncomfortable with other people painting my house, and would my homeowner's policy cover them, or what would happen? Would I lose my policy if someone got injured and they wanted to sue for it, or be paid for some horrible injury that I also then would just feel terrible about? Did they know how to paint? And the heat factor. You can't paint. These are the 3 windows that there's my bed there. The pups are on it. And there's Mercy. I have to close the window. She's looking out. That's her spot. She was upset that I had to close the window. She likes to stick her head out and bark at people walking, and dogs out there, and ducks and things, and geese. So it all worked out. God works out everything for us. But I don't know what my point of this is. It's just, I think of the identity that we have, and as hermits, each of us, I gave 4 examples, myself included, of hermit life, and they're all different. They're all different types of people, but they're all hermits. So, and they write about hermit life. 3 of them do. And I used to write more about hermit life, but I don't see that it just seems selfish or something, or not essential for people. There's excellent books that are from the 1000, or might be more like 1070 or more, from Carthusians writing, from the 3rd century hermits. I think we have plenty to find out about hermit life. Contemporary hermits, I've written about it on my blog. How my life was, how you become a Catholic hermit, that's on my blog. And my videos are more just sharing my life, my spiritual journey. And that includes now a whole lot of suffering. So, and it's going to get worse, I realize that. Unless I would die suddenly. So we're all just doing our thing, I guess. And look at that rose, isn't that beautiful? I don't think it smells. That's why I'm down on the other end. The roses aren't smelling. Let's have a sniff here. No scent. If anything, just very, very light scent. There's I don't know how that's there, but I think another rose grew up, another shoot of a different kind of rose color. I love these penstemons. So I've got, these are in a few years. See, now something like this from the greenhouse, I just get them in like the little 4-inch pots, or not even the 4-inch, the 2-inch. And it was like $3.50. And with patience, look how big that gets. And that one too. So, and then other things I had gotten at Home Depot, the first summer. You'll see them now. Now these big, this thing, when you see it, when they bloom, they're just wonderful. These big, huge dianthus. And they'll have big blooms. I have purple, I have white innocence, and I forget what the purple's called, mystical or something, mystical purple. And then I have a blue, and one that's blue and white combined, these dianthus. And those did cost more. I think they were like maybe $8.50 or something, but they're huge. The Japanese maples, I got them in the 1-gallon containers. They were $25. And they're, like that one back there is vitifolium. Vitifolium. When this tree comes down, this one is going to show extravagant colors in the fall. But it's been in too much shade to show its glory of color. So that'll be interesting to see. And then there's the Twisted Sister over here that it's going to be moved over a little bit. And that will be a beautiful conifer. That's the one that was discovered in the mountains of China in 1860. but had been there for centuries. No one had ever seen it. I forget it has its tag on it. We can see its name, and I know otherwise it's called Twisted Sisters. It's the prayer plant for my sisters, my 2 older sisters. I haven't sent them an updated photo. I should. They only saw it was half this size 2 years ago. Okay, let me see the time. Sorry for the phone thing, but I've got my proteins already. Oh, no, I guess it doesn't have the, oh, yes. Pinus tabuliformis, twisted sister, Chinese pine. Tabuliformis is Chinese pine. Tabuliformis. So, and you can look it up online, the shape it will be when it's older. Well, it can be various kinds. I can prune it a little bit if I want to have it be just one, keep one side more flat. But I think, I don't mind it being a center leader, but it will flatten out at the top eventually. Or I can take these side branches off and it will curve over to the left then. It'll look like a traditional bonsai, except a giant one. So it'll be very lovely here. And it won't make the mess. Look, I just keep getting, I go around and I won't have to bend to get the pine cones. And when I'm mowing, the mower just then breaks the pine cones and they spew all over. And I just as soon not have to clean up. So there's method to my madness. But in fact, I don't know. I may have spent under what they spent on their stone over. But see, I love their stone. I love the contrast. I love variety. I like people's ingenuity. They don't like to mow. What is smart? Oh, this is my grandson's dandelion. This is the prayer tree. This thing was so awful looking when I got it. And it is thriving now. And when that tree's down, it's going to even get more sun. But it gets quite a bit of western sun off to the right anyway. Later in the day it does. So this is the first year, though, that it's really had new growth like that. Look at the cape around the bottom. That is so lush and huge, glorious. Good old Dan. And I'm pretty sure this is Abies picea. We'll double check it. Yes, it's Abies picea. Abies picea is Norway spruce, and it's a dandelion. Not dandelion, as in Lion. I guess that's how you spell dandelion, isn't it? But because of the yellow that will be on it, more yellow than this new growth. But look at that new growth. This thing's going to get large. I may not need well, it's okay. I'll have the paper bark maple. It won't be fighting with any other conifers back here, because one of these, I think I'm going to move one of these silver firs over to where Angel Falls is, and Angel Falls is going to come back over here because Angel Falls needs more full sun. But these little guys, now these are quite rare little specimen. This one here, I need to get a taller stake and pull a branch up. And I think it's going to be this branch here, I think. I think I'm going to do this one here, not this one. Oh, we'll see. This one actually bends up easier, but it's not. This is the more natural, and it still has some bend in it. So I'll get a taller stake, bend that up, and get some more height going on that, because the center leader is missing from this. You see down there, the center leader at some point early on got broken off before I had it. But it's got some nice new growth. This is its 3rd year also. Oh, this one, I'll give you the name. This was a onesie. This and the other one were ones that I just spotted, and I knew that this is Abies foresti, variation Georgii. And it is a fir. It has the soft needle, so it likes protection from hot sun, and it can handle a little moisture. So the other side, where Angel Falls is, which is a white pine, that's getting too much moisture for the white pine. So we'll just switch, and I'll build this is AB's Vetchi pendula, weeping Vetchi fir, weeping vetch fir. And this look at that. Isn't that unusual how the end of this grows out, the new growth, like a little fan, but it's, filled like a pom-pom practically. They're all like that, as opposed to straight conical looking ends compared to like this. See, the new growth on that is like that. But this one was all fanned out. This one actually this is different as far as it looks like a bloom, but it's not like a I don't know what you would call that, a broom that's spread out or something. So, and there's little flaky down there. Well, let's see if this eventually will be a huge tree, but not in any of our lifetimes. It won't be huge. It grows very slowly. Here I have something I have to clip off. It's tempting you to want to snap these dead things off, but you just don't dare. But this will have a lot of exfoliating bark. And this I'll bring that one up. I'll stake this one up here. Whoops, got my finger in front of the camera. Stake that up. It has grown maybe 2 inches or 3 inches probably since I've had it. So in 10 years, if it even grows 2 inches a year, that's 20 inches. So we've got a ways to go on that. And Sanya no Mato, this Japanese maple, this is going to go to the side of the house because it does need some protection from sun. And of course, Japanese maples are fine with water. They're top feeders, meaning they have one root that goes down, a tap root. Actually, I think they're a lot like hermits. We have a tap root of all the same, and then our other roots go out over the surface with variety. So different hermits interpret their vocation differently. But there's a taproot of certain aspects that are hermit or not hermit. And solitude, living alone, is one that is a given. And you see this. I want to make sure this is getting enough water. This is Japanese maple that was found in Japan. Yes, it's got water in it. In 1810, and it is Ijima Sunago, and in the fall, and it develops into a very classic Asian-looking tree. It grows rapidly. So I'm just waiting until this big tree comes down, and it's going to be planted somewhere around here. I don't know yet where. Some of these roses I think are going to come out. Well, the yellow one is nice. I mean, it's different. I have a red one back there. These were original. They're old. They have no scent. There's a couple along here, maybe 3 or 4 that do have scent. But I'm going to, I would like to put maybe that Ijima Sunago down in here somewhere to have just some interest and a little bit of shade down here if somebody'd want to, bring and have a chair or a lounge down here near the pond and can, with the roses gone, but have a tree to shade them. Again, if that grows like a foot to a foot and a half a year. So in 5 years, that thing would be tall enough to throw some shade. But, and if it doesn't work out, I'll sell it in a couple of years when it's a nice, larger tree and looking impressive, and make some money on it. Oh, here, now you see Eskimo sunset. And I wanted to also show you, look what's developed. These fringe, these tassels. This tree has been the most fascinating tree to change. Talk about transitions and transformations. it has transformed. Now, this is how it will be all summer. Well, the underside might even get a little darker, but it's fairly dark now. So you see what it does in the wind. Oops, one of the pine cones. You know, it's just amazing tree. And I'm going to do some pruning on it, not in this heat. I'll wait till it cools off next week, and not do much. You should do your main pruning earlier on, you know, in the spring before it gets too hot, or in the fall after the leaves are off. But you don't want to wait too long before it gets into freezes or into snows or anything like that. So, but I'm going to, or I can even do it next spring if I'm still alive. I'm going to shorten the sides of it. I'm going to get it into a more vase-like tree. I think this branch here needs to come out now. So it's and this, see how this is starting to look like an actual aureum. This is Picea omerica, pendula aureum. It's a weeping gold Serbian spruce. And when I bought it, it was half this size, obviously. But still, you know, I paid, I think I splurged on this. I think it was close to $200, maybe $158, something like that, $158, which is a great price for a Serbian spruce, an aureum, also a gold one. But it was gold. And I didn't realize it was such a fast grower. But look at the cape on that at the bottom. Isn't it just beautiful? And you know, it's not messy. It's not messy. So I appreciate that. You know, I don't need to be bending or having a lot of extra raking that I have to do. So this is they had a pine tree right over there. It died. And they had a giant willow tree that really consumed the yard. It was as tall as their pine tree over there. But with those trees dead, this is getting the light it needed to be aureum, to be gold again, to have the gold tinges, gold on the ends with the darker green. So I'm excited about how, and then if I get some of this pruned out, here you go inside. I need to get all these little branches trimmed out from the inside. Get those all trimmed out. In fact, maybe I'll work on that today. Stand up doing that and work on this full moon. Full moon. It still has little bits of red blush in it. There's look at the seeds, the wings. They're pretty. So this takes me out of myself. This gardening takes me out of myself. I already pruned this one earlier. See how opened up that is now, and it's not overpowering the arbor. And we'll see how this, I don't know if this is going to be much of a clematis for that. I'll have to see if that's going to stay that clematis growing. And this whole thing here, I can get that stake out of there now, I think. But I tied it up so that it stays more narrow. I don't want it to be all flapping and threadbare looking. This is called thujar. But yeah, isn't this their yard? So they've got peonies. They have more tradition. They have beautiful orange roses along here, irises. Look at the yellow irises, and look at those peonies out there. So I think our yards complement each other beautifully. They have a huge stone, so I'm loving it. And I think it's good to have people have their variety. And then on this side, they really haven't done anything to it, but it's okay. Nobody has to. It would maybe be overdone. So they have grass, and they have lots of trees there. It's very, very, loads of trees. It's filled up there. And See, that's not good for your roof. It wears the roof out, and so they're going to have some trouble. They're going to need a roof sooner if you don't keep the branches off a tree, off the roof. But, you know, that's up to other people. But you can imagine what I would have done here. That's the different types. The shade, I mean, it's beautiful in the fall. I think they're all red. Look, see, I just itch to go and weed for them, but they're going to have to take care of that. I got more than enough to do. And their roses weren't pruned back. This is what happens if you don't prune roses down. They should have been pruned down about a foot back in March, end of March, before they start budding, because they're tall. But so we got a lot of weeds going on here, and that's how it is. The dandelions are down, but they've got these things creep in, so I have to stay on top of my yard. I'm grateful for the weeds. They don't do yard work next to me on that house, and that forces me then to do my work. See, God brings good out of everything, because then I'm out here. I had seen some weeds out here. Oh, no, I thought it was down here. I think I got it. I think I got it dug out. I'm at the point now where I'm able just to dig out the individual weeds in the front yard to keep them out. So now my grandson and I planted this little hebe. This is a hemlock called Hebeformis. It's a little different kind of a hemlock. I let my grandson choose. I thought we could use another little conifer down here to different, so you can put conifers together. See how this is different? It's more of a fir. This is a hemlock, an unusual kind of a hemlock. These are hard to come by. I got my little 1 gallon size, and I don't want it to really grow big, so I'm fine with it small. Then there's this hemlock over here. This is a little golden hemlock, and this is the one that needs some help. I dug up around it. I need to put some of this manure around it right here. Get some of this in here, and if not, I'm gonna move it. I'll move it around, but we'll get some water. When the water runs tomorrow morning, it'll hit this thing, and we'll get that manure soaked down in it. So that'll help. So, I mean, I can find all kinds of, oh yes, I'm sorry. Sean helped pull this up. I wanted to get this tree straightened. I wondered, what is that stake doing back there? But it was to upright this tree. It was moving to the right because this tree is so heavy here that it was seeking light. This tree was seeking light. I'm going to clean out a few branches down under there and get it opened up in the center more so that it has some air. They like air. But and these marigolds, they can handle dry, but it's just so hot. I'll come out with the dogs later and we'll re-water. We watered earlier. They need plenty of water down there. I'll go this way so that we don't get the shadow. But I don't know how these are going to do. Some of these little sedums, we'll find out how they're. And I have to keep the little miniature conifers watered during this heat. I want them to root in, keep some dirt up. I see some roots are coming up here, and I planted them up high. I don't want to get them too wet. This might have to go sink down more. This one here. I think this is dumpy here. This is the ABs. This is dumpy. It's Picea aves, so another Norway fir, but look how tiny those needles are. That lets you know it's a little miniature. The growth on it's maybe going to be an eighth inch a year, quarter inch. It's going to stay small. And then they top out at like a foot. So this is a Pinus parviflora, which is unusual to find a miniature in that. So Tayo Nishiki, I think it is called. Yep. Oh, this is good. I'm practicing my brain. I'm practicing my brain. It's what it takes. Practicing. And these, see, this gets more water from the sprinklers here. I think I might have a pipe that's broken down there. I have to get up early and watch the sprinklers. Either that or the end of a sprinkler is hitting right there and making that hole. This is a sprinkler head. I dug this out, so I know what that hole's there for. But I need to put a riser on it. I bought some risers to work on my sprinkler. See, always have things to do. That's what helps me get my mind off self. I have to tell you that I know my videos are a lot of self. But when I looked at other people's writings, it's all about self too. They just intellectualize it more. I just open up and without boundaries, because I don't have boundaries. I realize that. Pain has left me without boundaries. I just am very freed to say whatever, and it can get me in trouble. But it's also, thank God, keeps me authentic. It's me, it's real. It's this me that has been for 41 years. This morning something came up with the physical therapist, and we were talking about something or men, and I just up, and I forget how it came up even, but it was the man who, drugging people, that drugged me, ordered a drink that must have been bad. He was speaking Spanish to the waiter, and it drugged me, and he raped me. And I just said, oh yes, and he raped me. And the physical therapist, we moved here, and I hope it's not going to be too much shock for it. I may in the morning put a bucket over that or a little piece of cloth, because it might be too shocked getting too much sun. We moved it from the other side of that tree because it wasn't showing its white. But already, just with the sun it got today in the morning, up until about noon or 1 o'clock even, it really whitened up. Do I have it on here? Yes, right there it is. So that's an icebreaker. That's I think it's Abies coriensis, maybe? I'll have to look up. But got new growth over there on Phillips Weeping Tearful. That's not Phillips Gold, but it's I could already bring the 8-foot ladder out and get up there and tie it up more. It's grown that much. And same with this Weeping Beach. It's grown like a foot. I need to put an extender on it, on that pole. Tie an extender on it. I can get it up as high as I want, which I'll take it up as high as my ladder will go, because I can't reach it from the roof. So I can't get on the roof edge and go out and reach out and tie it. That I can. Maybe there I could put an extension ladder up against the roof and get up higher than my 8-foot ladder. Probably could. But we'll just see what happens. But anyway, yes, so I had no boundaries, and it was as if that was way back, and it was, I don't know, it was like it didn't matter. But he was sort of stunned, and oh my, and I said, oh, it's okay. It was like I was just a news article or something. So-and-so got raped and was drugged, and I'm detached from it. The pain has detached me from myself, from who I was, who I always was. I'm pain now. I'm suffering. And I pray that I'm also love. I don't want to lose the love. Love to suffer and suffer to love. And I want to identify with Christ, who is pain and suffering and love, though. This guy needs to be staked up. Roby's twist here. He's starting to get some growth on him. I don't know why I refer a lot of these trees as hymns. I already staked this up. Hana Matoi. I wanted it higher. I'd like to keep it at least waist high and then let it fountain out. That'll be pretty there. And it's maybe getting a little too much sun. Hanamatoa usually isn't so red. So it's probably getting too much morning sun here. But it's a good spot for it, I think. Adds a little bit of delicacy because the Picea omarica tinge over there is heavy and moundy. This Roby's Twist ginkgo is distinctive. These are moundy. This little Picea there, this is a, these are probably not firs, abies, because they needed protection. So I did decide with this Regenhold. I think this is a Pinus parviflora, Regenhold. This is another rare little Pinus parviflora with its miniature. I'm actually going to put it right here. I'm going to dig out what's left of this little hooch area and plant it elsewhere in a protected place, but hopefully where it will grow better. And I'm going to plant this in here. That's where Regenhold's going to go. So in the winter time, I'll have the variation of, this is a beautiful little conifer here. Either that or I can put this out and back, but I think this is special. I want it to be seen. People walking up will see that nice little Regenhold. I'll move all this stuff out of the way. Those are just petunias that came up from seed. So I'm going to plant them out and about. May as well. I have lots of them. I have noticed that the ones that come up from seed aren't all that thriving. They tend to be, I'm not sure what this is. This is some kind of I think these are snapdragons in here. So I take the things that come up from seed, other than the snapdragons, are large and vital looking. But I'm going to plant them anyway. They just tend to have smaller blooms. Now I could put Regenhold back in here also, but I think it will like a little bit of sun. This I could put, if I put a conifer back here, it could be maybe like that hemlock that was over there that's sort of ailing, because they don't like a lot of sun. But I think over there it doesn't have sun. It's just it's the soil needs amending. That's why I put that back there. But here's this hemlock. We'll see how it's doing. I don't know. I don't want it to lose this one. It's doing okay, but I don't think it's quite as good as it was. It may need a little more light, or it may be getting too much moisture back there. This needs water. This clematis, which I was going to add to this one. I practically need to get another trellis if I'm going to have two back here, but I might find another place for this clematis. Oh, you know what would be nice is to put this clematis over here, or out here. I just take up one of these pavers, and then I could move this down, but then it would be pretty to look out this window to see out into the courtyard and see this clematis. Good idea. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Saint Fiacre. Any other of the gardener saints and hermits. Saint Fiacre was a gardening hermit. In fact, he's a patron saint of gardeners. And my spiritual God had a statue of Saint Fiacre. I'm sending back to Saint Michael the Archangel. It also had a crack in the frame, but it's just too big. I'm not going to do that. That's an expenditure I'm not going to have. Had to put my foot down on that, and I can make a slate with, Saint Michael the Archangel. Pray for us or something. Well, I've talked enough. Anyway, I think us hermits, all who write about our hermit life, we're all rather selfish, self-centered. One way or another, we're talking about ourselves, or we're talking about the vocation and how we live it, whether we really are living it or not. In our own view, we are, I guess. or leaving out, big aspects of the hermit vocation. I've gotten more heavy into suffering, talking about the suffering, and recognizing that I am pain. That's what I have become, and that is my identity, and my main challenge is hopefully uniting my pain with Christ increasingly. This I have to find a special spot for. So I'm still at a point where I can take some things back. Down in that corner where the trees are going to be, that will want some protection from full sun. But I want to be able to see it. So I'll figure a good spot for it. And see this over here too. This is green feathers. This is a taxicodium, pond cypress. Isn't that awesome? And I have to still look up how large that'll get. Its little name is Carolyn Malone. So, Taxodium ascendens. So, a rising it'll get tall maybe, to check. But see, this is deciduous. But taxodiums, usually in the autumn, they get gorgeous shades of first they'll turn sort of orangey and then bronze, and this thing's already grown since I've had it here. It's grown another 6 inches at least, just in the last couple of weeks. Well, this is what takes me out of myself, and I know other hermits have things that take them out of themselves. All of them do, I think. That's the one thing, the woman who runs the retreat center for the diocese, and people come from all over to it. So, no, she's not at all a hermit, but I think it's sort of a drawing card. It sounds neat to come. I had at one point thought about having like for weekends or a bed and breakfast, offer this as a bed and breakfast, and people could come for a weekend of silence or during the week of silence and read my books. And back when I was able to cook more, I loved to cook. I would cook breakfast or something for them, and then they could just have use of the refrigerator at other times and have quiet, and then spend time talking with me for an hour a day if they wanted, if they wanted that. Talk over spiritual things or books or something. But I realized in my case that really disrupts the hermit life. I mean, to set it up like that, although hermits always were hospitable. The retreat center has the hospitality for a hermit, but she's never alone, ever. And it's lots of people. And even if it's neighborhood people or people from the community nearby coming to clean or to do work or to volunteer or bring food or meals or things, or do her laundry, it's always people. See, that to me would be too much. What I had in mind would be okay, but I don't know with my pain. I never know, but that would be okay if the people didn't mind. And of course I'd have to have the place finished. But I also have a concern about screening people who would come, in that regard, and the medicine I'm on. That could get tricky, like it could be trouble to open up my house to people, especially since I've been honest, very open and no boundaries with my sharing. So, and at this point, I don't think I'm well enough at all to handle anyone around. It's hard on me to have people, to be peopleized. I get over peopled easily, so that took care of that, didn't it? And well, this will be interesting. I was going to try to work on that today. I'll see if it gets a little cooler. I'm heading in. This is all my setup to do the work out here. And the letter did come from the from the doctors. I said I'm grateful to them. At least it's some proof, and they can always call them if they want to ask more. He has my permission to tell them what I have. They won't. They don't. I don't think they want to believe that. So we'll find out. I'm sure they're not done with me. Probably not. I'm wondering, though, how because they don't know that my video didn't turn out of them, the man yelling at me and throwing that bag of dog poop at me. I would worry about that. I would think, oh my goodness, I acted so terribly. Of course, I wouldn't do that to anyone. And what is she going to do with that video? Who's she going to show? But no, I don't think that they have any concern. I think people can get so narcissistic and full of their own assumed power that they think they are above decency even. But no, I'm sure I'm not done with them yet, but I'll be able to handle it, maybe, hopefully, in Christ. The Holy Spirit helped me out the last time with coming up to say, go to heaven. I'm praying extra for you. So those marigolds are their prayer plants. The one man's anyway. The other man doesn't put any flowers out. His wife doesn't. And I don't think they have. Yes, I think I see some marigolds up there now. They got their marigolds in. So that was a safe bet. They have them every year, which is lovely. And it's simple. There's nothing wrong with simple. And doing that, they don't have to rethink or redecide. I like it. My mind keeps getting goofier. I'll be done. Well, I already have mine done, but I'll probably have to sell things just to make it more simple here. I get to the point I can't take care of it. But trees are really pretty much do a lot on their own. It's not like dogs that need, feeding and tending every day and attention. But the trees like it. They like attention, that's for sure. This little guy, he's going to get, I think that's Oshio Benny or something. It's going to get pruned down in the fall or else early next spring. I'm going to get that thing down. A little bit smaller, not let it ever get bigger than that, no bigger than that, and smaller. And this one over here, I'm going to do some sculpting on it. Tattoo, that's tattoo, it's called. See how these leaves layer. They're just layered in there. Isn't that awesome? To shake it. Nice to meet you, Mr. Tattoo or Mrs. Tattoo. And I like how that just did that naturally. It sprouted up. And there's others in here like that. So I'm just going to clip out and have it stylized. Open it up, not let it get any larger than this. When these pavers are all used up, that branch going out that way is fine. I'm not letting this go out any further. In fact, I might clip it back a little. So they're fun to play with. You don't have to, but you can. That's the joy of trees and flowers. They're all quiet. Look, this dianthus. Last year I thought that they were dwindling, but they've really doubled in size. And this forget-me-not has just reseeded over here, so this little conifer down here is sort of lost. I think when this is all spent, I'm going to transplant it in the fall. I'll stick it elsewhere. I don't even remember the name of this. I still have a little tag on it. This one is Daisy's White Alberta Spruce, the little miniature Alberta spruce. See the little tiny buds? It's just 1/4 of an inch a year or so. On top, it's maybe 3/8 inch. And then they top out. They'll stop growing when they get 1 foot or 2 feet, etc. So very, very fun, exciting. God bless you all.